He was the gentle face of childhood, a beacon of kindness in every home, but one shocking moment behind the scenes pushed Fred Rogers to his absolute limit. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't make a scene. He just stood up, walked off set, and never came back. What happened that day shook everyone, and it changed the future of Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood forever. Fred Rogers was a man of compassion, patience, and quiet strength. For decades, he welcomed children into his neighborhood with words of love and lessons in empathy. But even a man known for his gentle demeanor had limits, and one day, something happened on set that crossed a line so deeply, so personally, that he simply couldn't stay. What happened wasn't loud or scandalous. It was subtle, insidious, and for Fred Rogers, it was the final straw. The incident happened during the later years of Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, when Rogers was working closely with producers and network executives to shape the show's future. The program had always been a space free of gimmicks, no flashy graphics, no condescending jokes, and absolutely no commercialization. But as times changed, the pressure to modernize grew. One day, executives brought in a new creative consultant, a younger, ambitious producer from another children's network, who pitched a segment that would introduce modern humor and edgy fun to attract older kids. The segment was unlike anything Fred had ever allowed. It involved slapstick, sarcasm, and a character that mocked another for being too sensitive. It was meant to be funny, but for Rogers, it wasn't just a bad idea. It was a betrayal of everything he stood for. He quietly sat through the rehearsal, watching actors deliver lines that made light of emotions and reinforced the kind of teasing behavior he had spent his life countering. Then, in front of a stunned crew, he stood up, took off his cardigan, and calmly walked off the set. He didn't yell. He didn't argue. He simply said, "This isn't right for children," and left. Those who were there said the silence was deafening. No one knew what to do. Rogers, known for his unwavering calm and kindness, had never walked away from anything. But this time, he felt the message being sent to children was wrong on a fundamental level. It wasn't about ego or creative differences. It was about integrity. Rogers believed that childhood was sacred and that what children saw and heard mattered deeply. To him, introducing cruelty masked as humor, even in the smallest way, was unacceptable. In the days that followed, there were desperate calls and emails. The segment was pulled, apologies were issued, and Rogers was begged to return. But he didn't. That moment marked the quiet end of his time on set. While Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood continued to air reruns and specials, Fred's active role in producing new content diminished significantly from that point forward. His decision was more than a personal boundary. It was a statement. It reminded everyone in the industry that kindness isn't outdated, that sensitivity isn't weakness, and that children deserve more than cheap laughs at someone else's expense. Fred Rogers walked away not in anger, but in conviction. And in doing so, he preserved the integrity of his message until the very end.